Hi, well, I'm Cable. So this is awkward staring at myself at my computer screen, so talking to oneself. Now, this is going to be very hard for me to do. I have a lot of energy, and I have a lot of energy because I like giving to people. But this, for me, is awkward because I can't imagine a person, because there's so many different people, and creating a generic product for everyone is obviously not, well, it's not ideal. So if you have questions, please post them. If you have challenges, if you have prods, please go ahead and issue them, and they will be answered as I have time. Yeah, but I mean, try and, if you can, posit your query in the form of a general, universal kind of, well, I mean, specifics. In how I answer them, I guess, can draw out the universals, but yeah, so actually be as specific as you want. But sometimes I need information, so I can't, text is such a poor means of communication. I mean, voice, if you hear the way something is said, then you know the feeling and you know the language or the grammar. When you just have one means of communication, you can't infer consciousness or intelligence or anything like that. It could just be a random bit of nature. You have to at least have 2 points to draw a line, because, well, I mean, this is the divinity of mathematics, but if you can imagine 2 points, points don't actually occupy space, but a line infers 3 things, even though it's defined by 2 points. So 2 things produce something that exists not on one plane but 2 planes, because a line has thickness. It has to have thickness, otherwise you won't be able to perceive it. You can't imagine it. You can't imagine the line without thickness. So a line has horizontal, if you imagine a horizontal line, and it has vertical depth. So it infers the 3rd dimension. So you have 2 points infer 3. 2 infers 3. I mean, one implies everything. I mean, if you have 1 point, how big is the point? It's imaginary. It's as big as your imagination, and imagination is like possibility. It's infinite, even though energy is conserved in the universe. There's only so much energy, but because the energy represents God with a capital G, we have, if we rearrange our energy, if we sublimate it and distill it into something more pure, we can produce a spiritual world that is immortal as well. But I mean, you have to, this is getting complicated, this is getting into Hinduism, but let's start with Christianity, which is the creation religion. Now, no religion is perfect, but any religion perfectly understood will bring you consciousness, spiritual transformation, and it'll give you everything. It'll allow you to be yourself, because no one is truly themselves until they have. It goes by different names. I mean, the Zen Buddhists call it Satori. The Hare Krishnas call it Krishna consciousness, because it's interesting. I mean, that shows you they do understand a lot of principles. They are very wise people, because they don't go on about religion. They know that they are developing consciousness, as opposed to Christians who are obsessed with the law. I mean, law is good because you need structure, but structure is constraining if it defines everything. The point about structure is that you have to perceive the structure in such a way that it gives you freedom, otherwise it's a prison. Well, this is what you get when you, each religion represents a religion of an avatar. Avatars are manifestations of God, people that have found what they are the god of. So you have, the Olympian gods, and you have many different gods, I've gathered my thoughts. Being a god is about liberation. It's about undoing the damage in the fall. Now, as far as I know, Hindus don't understand exactly why. I haven't heard anyone talk about the fall. I mean, they understand that our bodies are degraded because of our consciousness has dirtied our form, because it's molded it. But let's see, you have okay, the fall. So what is the fall? Now, the fruit of the tree of knowledge. This is what in Christian mythology makes a lot more sense. Well, it's not even mythology, but it is symbolic. So it happened and it didn't happen. It happened metaphysically. It happened physically. It happened at every level at the same time, or not necessarily at the same time. I mean, when did Adam and Eve fall? I mean, lots of people think, oh, they take a literal take. They say, oh, well, when they ate the fruit, that's when they fall. But surely they had already fallen, because when they had decided to eat the fruit, surely then they had already shed or discarded their balanced virtue, their eternal life. They had traded it for knowledge. Now, knowledge will bring knowledge without eternal life is like going from a state of order into a state of chaos. But I mean, order and chaos isn't a binary, it's a continuum. So you have a certain level of order, and you're at a certain level. Now, you eat of the tree of knowledge, you lower yourself, and you're a bit unquiet. But eventually you will find out what you're doing and how to do it, and you can grow, and then you can be higher, and you can rise like a tide. That is the essence of assimilating knowledge and with virtue, because I mean, there's so many ways I can explain this. I don't know how fundamental to start. You see, Lucifer, people misunderstand Lucifer in Christianity, and they have to misunderstand him because, well, until now, let's say I'm revealing the true nature of Lucifer. Hare Krishnas are very much like Lucifer, because Krishna means all attractive, and Lucifer is the most beautiful angel, and he has to be the most beautiful angel because he will tell you what you're not ready to hear. So he has to lure you with his beauty. You see, he's the light bringer, but you cannot bring someone the light, because you cannot impose the light externally into someone, because then they don't have the light, because the light is their inner guide, and so it's a faculty that has to be developed. So to call out the inner light, you have to wear a mask, if you're an angel at least, because otherwise people will blindly eat what you say. So you have to mask yourself. So Lucifer has to become Satan. But I mean, look at Lucifer. Look what he does. Jesus starves himself for 40 days, and what does Lucifer do? He offers him food every single day, and he's the bad guy. And he's the bad guy because he was offering a starving man food. He only offers what you want, what you think that you can't have, what you think you're not allowed to have. He's trying to show you, be more discerning, work it out, resolve yourself, resolve your issues. Now, and that might mean going into a state of chaos. That might mean doing the forbidden. That might mean transgressing yourself. But you have to, in some way, you have to love what is foreign so that you can assimilate what is missing in you, because you are not perfect. Lucifer is trying to teach us that we should be attracted to what we are afraid of, so that we can understand it and know how conscious to be of it. I was afraid of spiders, but it was only when I studied demons that I realized what spiders truly represent, because spiders eat what is not necessary. They eat too many. They eat the flies that have nothing better to do than to go and, so spiders guard entrances and things like that. But there is the demon spider. It eats men. It's this giant demon spider in Japanese mythology, and we have the same thing in Western culture. We call them black widows. When the spider sees that the man has expended all he has to give, when he is no longer useful, then they are consumed. So if you're afraid of being obsolete, if you're afraid that you might be obsolete in the future, then you will probably have you might not have a direct fear of spiders if you haven't thought out what a spider symbolizes to you, but at least maybe unconsciously you will have a fear of the archetypal spider, which is a person, which is how they look, which is, like, does this woman look like a spider? Are you afraid? Is she going to eat you after you've copulated with you because she doesn't need you anymore because she has her child? That's what spiders do. They eat, some of them, or I think most of them are, or that's the archetype anyway, is that after the smaller male spider copulates with the female, she eats him because he's fulfilled his usefulness. He's passed on his seed. Why does he need to live again? It's all a metaphor. I mean, maybe it's also a message that maybe monogamy is not the best thing. I mean, maybe one partner at a time is fine, but maybe lifelong monogamy is not something that's necessarily natural. I mean, these are things that we have to question about society, because we live in a fallen world. So we've had to follow the law. At least that's what Christianity teaches us, and the other Brahmanic religions, the other creationist religions, is that what created this world were laws. And especially if you're fallen, you have to respect the law, otherwise you might do wrong. But it also says in Christianity that love fulfills the law perfectly. So if your love is pure, then you don't need to have a monogamous relationship. You don't need to be married for all your life. You can have friends. Do you know what pedestry is? That might be a bit too much for you right now. Look it up. I mean, the Romans were very interesting people. I mean, they indulged, and indulge is the wrong word, but they were independent enough that they knew what they wanted. It's not the same thing as indulgence. We look at it now and we say, how decadent. The Hellenistic culture is far away. That was based on 12, though. My conception is based on 13. There are 13 virtues. I can go through them if you would like. Maybe that's better for another lesson. This is just introductory remarks. I'm sorry, I'll make it more structured. We'll see how it goes.